Welcome to the Secrets of Success podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Keis. Well, this is going to be a little different show. I'm just going to chatter, to have a conversation with you, the listener. And so first of all, the focus of this first part of the show is gratitude. So I want to thank everybody who has listened to an episode, is listening to this one, might listen to another one in the future. And I just want to say thank you that you would share your time with me and also the guests that we typically have on our show. So just wanted to say thank you. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the opportunity for this concept of podcasts, being able to reach out to anybody, anywhere around the world 24/7 with a message that hopefully is encouraging others to go to the next level. And when I think about personally grateful, as the president of CRG, which is the sponsor of this show, this last year has been quite amazing. I host the 3-day personal mastery and assessments certification. And I just pinch myself sometimes at the end of the 3 days because we go for 12 hours to 14 hours. We go from 8:30 in the morning till 10 at night. I said, boy, that's crazy. Well, what we do is we go to the dinner hour, and then the evening we have interactive activities. But people at the end of that always said, this is the best program I've ever been to. And so I'm just grateful that we really have progressed to a point where the experience is transformational for the individuals in the room, no matter sort of their background. And the people in the room become good friends and connected and deeply connected in a very short period of time. And one of the lessons that I've learned from that, if you're listening, that is just evident in the certification when we get to day 2 for sure, the end of day 2, and certainly by day 3, is that people really deeply want to connect if given the right opportunity and the right environment. And they want to go deep, but they don't because maybe there isn't a structure, a process, or a safe place to just be. And so I'm just thankful that our certification has really developed and evolved into that kind of experience. It was acknowledged as one of the top 10 certifications, train the trainer programs in the world by HR.com just a couple of years ago. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for CRG has some really core people on our team that have been around for some time now. And I know, Adrian, our senior programmer, he has been transformational in converting the online experience so that now we have an API, meaning application protocol interface. So all our digital assessments and tools could be hooked into anybody's LMS and be able to be deployed. Eleanor's now been at the company for well over 30 years, and so making a difference there. Bridget's been there for 8. Chris is now around 2. And then we have many people around the company who serve us around doing podcast editing and doing social media and doing podcast admin and editing of our content and our posting and our web developers, and on it goes, just no end of different desktop publishers, our printers for our book as we go back to the printers for our 3rd printing of Why Aren't You More Like Me. So I'm thankful for that we have sold out of 2 full printings, and now actually, I don't know if we want to call it the 5th iteration of Why Aren't You More Like Me, but it's certainly going to be the 5th printing in the history of the book, Everett doing the first versions and myself doing the current versions, is that has been transformational as well. And family, being a father of a son who is doing well in real estate and having a beautiful wife and just Alana, so Tim and Alana, and my daughter being in a profession that she loves, those are the things that I certainly am grateful and thankful for. So the question is what are you thankful for? At this time of the year, at this end year. Now, the Western world celebrates Christmas. Other people are Hanukkah. Other individuals are not of that sort of belief system. But the global economy has a bit of a lull, has a bit of a breather as much of the developed world takes a break for Christmas or the holidays or whatever you want to call it. So my encouragement during this show is just saying, okay, what is it that you are most grateful for? Now, you've heard this in other shows before. Gratefulness, thankfulness is one of the top 3 characteristics that lead towards well-being. And so if you don't have a grateful or thankful heart, then it's going to be very difficult for you to have a feeling of well-being. Now, I was at an event with actually my colleague, Dr. Mitch Javidi, who was teaching FB and NAA, so, law enforcement individuals. And this concept of well-being is different than wellness. Well-being is just this holistic, how do I have this just deep satisfaction in life, not just well, but also well-being, in that it expands on that. So my encouragement as you think about 2020, now you could be listening to this show anytime, and with legacy shows, and you didn't listen to it for a year, it doesn't matter. All these principles apply. It doesn't matter when you're listening to it. But what is it that you are grateful for? And even if the things are not well, then you have to kind of focus, what is it that you are grateful for? So let's say your left leg is broken. Well, then be happy that your right leg didn't break either. And, be selective in it, and don't be badgering yourself with all the negative news that's out there. So that's the other thing that I want to encourage you, is that if you want to have a grateful heart, it's pretty difficult to do it when you are listening to and watching to the news, all the input with all the negative things that are going around the world. Is just screen yourself. I just go onto my app. I never watch TV. I shouldn't say never. Rarely watch TV news anymore, because I don't know what's coming. I'll go on my app, see what I want to read, watch what I want to watch, and done. It's done, and it's set. So encourage yourself on that discipline as well. Now, for the balance of this shorter version show, I just want to encourage you or share with you character traits that I want you to consider for 2020, for what 2021, whenever you're listening to the show, just character traits to consider, period. Now, by far I am not perfect on these, but when I did the research for my book, The Quest for Purpose, a lot of times we were talking with different leaders and guests over the past 4 years, doing over 175 episodes now, so we're getting close to 200, is that they wish people had more character, that they had character and just not just skills, that it's more than that. So the 10 character traits, and I'm just going to briefly mention them, that I want you to consider for going forward, that all of us can benefit from. One I've already mentioned, which is gratitude and thankfulness, is that these are baselines for success in life, no matter what you do, what career, where you're at, even, as a parent or somebody that's doing volunteer work or retired. Doesn't matter. All of these apply. So the first one is forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. Really been going through some of that, even myself, of certain dynamics, things that were said and done to me where I really have to let it go. And I don't forgive to forget, meaning that what they did is okay. I forgive so that I can move on, so that that person doesn't still have hold of my life and is influencing me in a negative way. By not forgiving, you're eroding your life, not theirs. And so just regardless, I'm not saying that what they did was okay or that it was fine, but get on with it. Don't let them continue to destroy your life or affect your life negatively. Number two, which is interesting because we talk about it, that lacks it in leadership out there, is this concept of integrity. We see it in politicians where when I do workshops, I ask about credibility, and I said, what profession has no credibility in your eyes? And they say politicians. Well, why is that? Well, the behavior is they say what people want to hear them to say. They never keep their promises, or rarely. And so the profession really is not being authentic. And so my encouragement to you is that operate in integrity. Develop that as a core value. And so when you come to a crossroads of a decision to act in integrity or not, it's not going to be something that you're going to hesitate about. You're going to act on straight away. When you think about the next, it's more about a belief system than a character trait, but is worrying about what others think about you. Now, we all want to do our best to build relationships, and relationships matter. They matter a lot. In fact, they matter more now than they've ever have, just because we have this remote society. And so building relationships is paramount to our success in life. But if we worry about what other people think, we will never move forward our whole life. If I was to have redone CRG based on everybody else's feedback at different times, then the company would be theirs. It wouldn't be mine. Now, that's not from a self-centered point of view or that their feedback didn't have legitimacy. Not at all. But that was what was important to them, not necessarily what was important to me. And so I do believe in masterminds and getting counsels and association, which is one of the next character traits. But we can't be taking opinions, unsolicited opinions from individuals who are not qualified and giving them credence. You just need to be able to block that out. And then sometimes, of course, it could be some from the closest people, from family members or friends, that you're not doing something because you're worried about what they're going to say or think because of a decision. I still remember when I left the farm or I left my sales job, the family really was not all that happy about it. They said, you know, you have a sales job with a car and an expense account. What else do you need or want? And that was 31 years ago. And, of course, that was the right decision. The next one is this love of learning. It's actually sad to note that less than 15% of people actually read a book after high school or college. So 85% of the population is not reading books. So books is not the only place. Obviously, watching YouTube videos or listening to this podcast or whatever way that you get your learning. But just that is one of it, is that just be curious. Just devour information. You will feel energized. And I mentioned this research about well-being. I was really quite shocked to find out or discover that people who love learning, that is one of the top 3 contributors to well-being, because you're constantly growing. Even if you think about those that are getting older and you think about your degradation of your mind or your thoughts or your memory, is that by reading, by learning, is that you counter that. So just devour learning. Avoiding distractions is another character trait that I just want to mention, is that there are so many shiny objects. There's so many possibilities that it actually could be overwhelming. It could actually be burdensome. There's over 40,000 job titles in North America alone. Well, how could you even investigate all the possibilities? So part of being fulfilled in life is also this area of being focused. I remember when I had 7 different businesses. The reason I had the 7 businesses is that I was insecure in the way that I didn't think any single business was going to fulfill me. And I was wrong. I was misguided in my attempt to have all these startups. And of course, you can't have all these startups. A couple of them went bankrupt because there was just not enough energy to go around to all these different businesses. Is now that I'm focused on what I'm called to do, which is to help others to live, lead, and work in purpose through CRG, my speaking, training, consulting, and this podcast and other things, then just controlling the distractions in your life so that you don't get overwhelmed. The reality is that it's very difficult to not only focus, but to get things done when your mind is overwhelmed with different possibilities and distractions. There is no such thing as multitasking. So this idea that I can multitask is been proven by science to be not possible. So with that, that doesn't mean that you don't have multiple things to do, but you can only focus on one thing at a time, and then you can move back and forth to create some variety if that's important to you. But keep that in mind as far as what are the things I need to cut out so that I can have some success. The next one is interesting because it's called humor. So when I do large programs, I'm not good at telling jokes, and I don't ever pretend to be that, but being witty and funny and interacting with people is just a hoot. The energy in the room, by having some fun, having some people laugh once in a while, just transforms. And in fact, that's when Cousins' Anatomy of an Illness, when he proved many, many years ago in his book that healing came from somebody who had lots of humor. He was watching all these old rerun movies, and that humor and funny is actually great for your immune system. The opposite of anger and being down is going to affect your immune system negatively. But humor on the other side is positive for you. And by the way, so we were just saying, hey, lighten up, eh? Like, give it a break. Have some fun. The next one is the character trait of persistence. A lot of times people think that you just get there overnight. Now, I've been doing this for 31 years now, over 3,000 presentations. And it was just a few years ago, around year 23, 4, 5, that another level was achieved in my speaking and training. Now, I think it was just being immersed in this information for so long, doing that kind of work, but also a level of maturity that started to evolve as well, where you just had fun serving. And there was another level that was attained. So that was through being persistent, by continuously after it. You know, you don't do something for a week and then say and give up on it. A lot of times people want to have a microwave life or microwave business or relationships, is that persistence pays off. And so my encouragement is that if you're on the right track, if you're doing what you need to be doing, yes, get some help, get the power of association, which is the next habit, is, you know, bring people around you that can mentor you. Get into a group of some sort of mastermind group if that's what you need to, or reach out to an individual who has gone way beyond you, that you trust their advice and their experience, that you can go to the next level. I would say my growth in life has been most when I've had a coach or when I had somebody around me, and that's not always the case because I'm moving so fast. Sometimes I opt out of some of those things, but it's when I'm hanging around my peers or in a mastermind group or with a coach that I go to another level. The other one is that power of association, is that, you know, you don't want to do it alone. You don't want to be on your own, and that's where, you know, some of the work that my partner, Mitch Javidi, is doing, where people that are senior people in law enforcement, they need somebody to kind of connect with, so those come into play. Now, there's lots of other things that we covered, but I promised that this would be a shorter show. I just want to encourage you that 2020 could be the best year that you've ever had, that you matter, that the people around you matter. Hey, I forget it. I'm telling you this because I need this more than anybody. And the other one is that you're an important person on this planet. You have a difference to make with the people around you, with your family, with your friends, with every single person you meet, is that you're going to be leaving some kind of impact. Is it a worthy one that's positive, or is it something different? So I just want to thank you, the listener, for being here. Maybe it's your first time, maybe it's your 100th time, I don't know. And I just want to thank you for being there. I also want to thank you for your words and support, and I also want to thank you for the work that you're doing to make a difference out there in the world somewhere, somehow. If you like what we're doing, always like to hear from you. Leave a positive comment somehow or another, you know, because it's interesting. Podcasts can be consumed. It becomes a mystery. Did it really make an impact? We don't know. Not that we need it, but it's good to hear so that we know. So we have even some kind of clue on it. I have some amazing guests that are already lined up for 2020 for our podcast show. I just did a bunch, actually 4 of them prior to doing this show that we interviewed today. We have some others that are already being edited. And so if you know of a transformational guest, we'd love to hear from you that we can at least vet and see if they fit our show. And if you have a podcast that you're hosting that you are looking for a guest and there's a fit, we'd love to be a guest there. Again, thank you very much. You matter, and keep living and working and learning on purpose. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Keis.
Thanks for exploring the secrets of success with us. If you want to keep the momentum going, log on to crgleader.com. Scroll to the bottom and sign up for our inspirational emails. You can also take your success to the next level by following us on Facebook and Twitter and connecting with Ken on LinkedIn. We hope you have a great week and look forward to you joining us next time for the Secrets of Success podcast with Dr. Ken Keis.